What's up, spooky people? It's time for another episode of the Spooky Corner. And today, we're going to be talking about 5 haunted and cursed horror movies. Working on a horror movie has got to be a whole lot of fun. Oh, but it's all fun and games until the scary stuff isn't just happening in front of the camera, but it starts happening behind the scenes in real life. And that is what some people believe was happening with these 5 horror movies that I'm about to tell you about. People believe that these were haunted and or cursed, and you're gonna see why right now. Make sure that you stay all the way to the end, because as the list goes on, things get scarier and scarier. Now, without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, so the first movie we're gonna talk about is The Possession.
Once the box is open, people die.
This movie is based off of the real life story of the Dybbuk box, which is one of the world's most haunted items. And I can't get into the whole story right now because it's way too long and crazy, but basically the Dybbuk box is an old haunted wine cabinet that has seen many different owners over the years, and each one of these owners have said that this box has wreaked havoc on their life and that it is haunted and possessed by a demon. And in the movie The Possession, a little girl finds it at a yard sale and she brings it home and all hell breaks loose. And it looks like all hell might have been trying to break loose on set while they were making the movie, because people have come out and said that spooky things were going on. Like light bulbs were just bursting out of nowhere while they were filming highly intense scenes.
Light bulbs would explode in the middle of doing a scene and it'd be like, what the is happening?
And even when the light bulbs weren't even on, they would still just bust out of nowhere. Also, people were said to have felt cold winds throughout the set, cold breezes, even though the set was closed and there was no windows and no doors open in sight. What's even crazier is that when they finished wrapping up the movie, they put all the props away into storage, and after they did, the storage place burned to the ground.
All the props, the Dybbuk box, it burned down, everything burned and went into ashes, and no one could explain the fire and all these crazy stuff.
That is creepy as hell. It could be a coincidence. I mean, stuff does catch fire. Or it could be the spirit that's inside of the Dybbuk box not being too happy about having a movie made about it.
Do not mock the box. This real.
The director actually had a chance to use the real box in the movie, but he quickly declined. He was like, nope, no thank you, I'm good, and I think that was a very good choice. Alright, next up, I'm excited for this one. We got the Conjuring series. I love these movies. These are some of the scariest movies like in my lifetime, I believe. And these are based off of the real life investigations of Ed and Lorraine Warren. And they dealt with some pretty dark and wicked stuff over the years. And word is that some of that dark and wicked stuff may have been trying to make its way onto the set during filming. So the first and probably the most frightening thing that happened to Vera Farmiga, who played Lorraine Warren. And she says that right before they were getting ready to shoot the first Conjuring and she had finally decided that she was gonna do it, next thing she knows, she opens up her laptop to find 3 claw marks scratched into the screen.
I opened my computer and there was these claw marks.
Eventually they went away and everything was good, but then a little bit later, she ended up waking up in the morning to find those same 3 scratch marks scratched into her thigh.
And the same claw marks appeared on my thigh.
Oh, wow.
I mean, right there, a lot of people may have just been like, fuck that, I'm not shooting this demonic ass movie, but she was not afraid and she kept going. But she wasn't the only actress that may have been marked by a supernatural force, because Joey King came to the set maybe a couple of weeks in, and she claims that she discovered bruises all over her body. Mysterious bruises that she could not explain. She didn't do any stunts in the movie. She didn't hurt herself off set. She just woke up one day with all these strange bruises on her body. Thank God They went away, she finished the movie without any more problems, and all was well. There's also a rumor that I read online. This one doesn't have a lot on it, but I read that when James Wan was writing the script late one night, his dog was apparently freaking out and barking at thin air and chasing just invisible stuff around the room. Right there is where you close up the laptop and bring it to Starbucks. Filming for the second Conjuring went off a lot smoother. The only thing that I really saw that people were reporting was that there were curtains blowing on set when there were no windows open, no doors open, no fans on. The curtains were just blowing on their own. Well, that's pretty good. Nothing too bad happened in the second one. Nobody got scratched, nobody got beat up, but let's see what happens in the third one. Next up, what is a list of haunted horror movies without this one? I'm talking about The Exorcist.
Do you know what she did? Your canting daughter?
Yo, when this movie came out, the controversy that surrounded it was enormous. I mean, people were fainting in the theater.
I fainted like 10 minutes after the first beginning of the movie.
I don't know what happened. I just fainted. It was frightening.
I've never in my life known a movie where people would faint.
They were vomiting.
I want to see if it's going to make me throw up.
Running away.
I don't like it. I want to go home. Makes my heart beat too fast.
My legs are just going, "Nyeh," and I have to cover my ears.
Some lady fell and broke her jaw and sued the studio. Apparently a woman had a miscarriage, but that's not confirmed. People were losing their minds.
It's incredibly frightening. No. Why was that?
It was crazy, but what may have been just as crazy was the actual filming of the movie. Now, production for this movie did not get off to a great start at all, because right off the bat, the set for the McNeil house went up in flames and they had to delay production for a while. Now, things happen, obviously fires start, stuff happens when you're filming a movie, but the creepy part about this is every part of the set was affected and touched by the flames except for Regan's room. That don't sit right with me. Then when they finally started shooting, things did not get any better. Because first of all, you had both Linda Blair and Ellen Burstyn both injure their backs while they were shooting some scenes. And Ellen Burstyn's injury is actually in the movie. It's in the part where Regan like throws her mom to the ground and she screams in pain. That's an actual scream of pain because she really just messed up her back. Now it's time to talk about deaths in this video, and there's gonna be a lot more. This is where it starts. This movie had a couple of deaths surrounding it. First, you had Linda Blair's grandmother die while she was shooting the movie. Then Max von Sydow's brother died. You had 2 cast members die right after they stopped production, and the creepy part about their deaths are their characters actually died in the movie. Then you had 2 crew members apparently die, 1 prop designer and 1 night watchman. That's a lot of deaths. And other spooky occurrences were said to have happened while they filmed the movie. Stuff like things moving on their own and just weird ghostly stuff happening here and there. Eventually there was so much stuff going on that they finally brought in a priest, an actual priest, to come bless the set. Now when they finally finished the movie and they got it released, like I said before, all hell was breaking loose. And there was a rumor going around back then that the actual movie itself was haunted, like the film itself, like if you watched it, you would be possessed by a demon, and everybody going to the theater probably thought that. That's probably why they were throwing up all over themselves, shitting all over themselves, and breaking their damn jaws. And I did hear this story a long time ago. I think this is a cool story about the time that they premiered this movie in Rome, and there was a wicked thunderstorm going on outside, and right across the street from the theater where they were showing the movie was a church. And while the movie was going on, this bolt of lightning apparently came down and hit this cross that was on top of the church, and the cross came tumbling down. But anyway, 1 million people have seen the movie by now, and none of them are possessed, I'm sure, so you should be alright.
Anything's possible.
Next on the list, we got the Poltergeist series.
They're here.
And this series is famous for the terrifying and tragic events that happened during and after filming. First, let's talk about the set. The first thing you need to know is that they actually used real human skeletons while filming the movie. You know the part where the skeletons come up and grab the girl? Those are actual real skeletons. Apparently they were a lot cheaper to use back then than prop skeletons, and the thing is, I don't even know if they told her that they were real skeletons or not. I have a feeling that they didn't tell her, that they didn't want to scare her, and they were like, yeah, just go ahead, just go hug those fake skeletons over there. And when she came back, they were like, aha, those are real. And I'm sure she didn't get paid extra either. But you know how Hollywood is. Anything to get the scene, anything to save a dollar. Also, Oliver Robbins claims that when he did that scene with the clown, that the clown was actually choking him out for real. Now, the clown doll was supposed to put its arms around his neck, but apparently the prop must have malfunctioned and it was really strangling the kid. Luckily, Steven Spielberg came in time to break it up, to get the prop off of him, to break him free. You know what, man? Like, what's up with this prop department? First you got dead bodies, and now you got killer clowns choking kids out. Paranormal activity was also said to be going on. Like JoBeth Williams claims that she would come home every day from filming and her pictures would be crooked on the wall, even though she knows that they were perfectly straight before she left and she did not slam the door to wiggle them, to wiggle them around. And there's this crazy story from the guy that wrote the novel while they were shooting the movie, and he says that one night while he was writing the novel, that there was a thunderstorm outside, a bolt of lightning hit his air conditioner, which then made the air conditioner fly across the room and hit him in the back. And then when he got up from the ground and he picked his head up, his TV turned on by itself. Now that may be just very, very fabricated, or it's just fucked up. Now on to the deaths. There was a few different deaths that went down during the series, but the most famous and most shocking were Dominique Dunne, who died at 22 after the movie came out when she was murdered by her boyfriend. And then the most surprising death was Heather O'Rourke. After they, I guess, finished shooting the third one, she died at only 12 years old due to cardiac arrest. People believe that all the stuff that happened during the series, the deaths, the paranormal activities, all this crazy stuff was all because the series was cursed after they used those dead bodies in the first movie. They think that they disrespected the dead, and the dead was not taking it too kindly, and they were getting their vengeance through each and every movie. Alright, I saved the best for last. This is apparently the movie that the devil himself did not want made. And I'm talking about The Omen.
This is not a human child. Make no mistake.
While they were making The Omen, the cast and the crew were shook. And they had a right to be, because there was so many crazy, scary things happening before, during, and after this movie. Let's start off with the coincidences. They say that lightning never strikes twice. But when you're working on The Omen, it does. Because not only did one plane carrying some of the cast and crew get struck by lightning while it was on its way from California to London, but a second plane, bam, got cracked by lightning while they were making their way to London. Then the Hilton Hotel that everybody was staying at was bombed. Literally right as they were walking out of the hotel, the lobby exploded right behind them, and they just missed death. They just escaped death by like this much. Not only was there one bombing, but there was a second bombing.
We had reservations at a restaurant an hour before. Scott's, it was blown up.
BAM! There was also another incident involving a plane. They were gonna go shoot some aerial shots for the day, and they ended up switching their days for the plane that they chartered, because they were gonna get a better deal if they moved a day, a day later. But the people that ended up taking their spot ended up dying when the plane went down and crashed.
The plane hit a flock of birds, the engines quit, crashed on to the end of the runway, went down into the street, hit a car and killed everybody in the car. In the car were the wife and 2 children of the pilot. True story. Every newspaper has it and everything else.
Oh, we got some deaths for this movie too. First of all, before the movie even started filming, Gregory Peck's son ended up committing suicide. And Gregory Peck is the guy that played the father, and props to him, he went and did the movie even after his son committed suicide and his plane got struck by lightning. Then we got probably the most insane death around this movie. This happened about a year later when John Richardson, who was a special effects guy, was driving down a dark road at night with his assistant when they were involved in a head-on collision. John survived the crash, but his assistant wasn't so lucky. She got decapitated. Not only is it freaky that they claim that this happened on Friday the 13th, but they also say that when John opened his eyes from the initial impact, he looked up and he saw a road sign that read 666.
He woke up and he saw Liège, 66.6 kilometers.
And the town they were headed towards was called Omen. Believe it or not, apparently that is all true.
That was frightening.
Even animals might have been under the influence of the evil that was in the air when The Omen was being filmed. They had this one incident where they went to a zoo to film this part with a lion that never ended up in the movie, but when they left, they ended up finding out a little bit later that the kid that was helping out, one of the zookeepers, he ended up getting killed by a tiger shortly after they left the zoo. All of this and many more incidents went down during the filming. There's even a whole documentary on it that you can check out that talks a lot more in depth about what happened. They were all warned before they made this movie that it was not a good idea to mess around with this kind of stuff.
He says, if you guys go ahead and make this movie, before you are done, you will believe the devil exists. And he was absolutely right.
But they did it anyway, and it made for a great, iconic film that I honestly have never seen. I saw the remake. That probably makes me a really bad person. Don't judge me. But anyway, you know how they say, if you say the devil's name, he shall appear. They were saying his name all right, and it looked like during the making of the movie, he was like, what up? That's pretty much it for this list. You let me know 6 feet deep below in the comment section what you think about this. Is this all just a bunch of coincidences mixed in with clever marketing? Or do you believe that this could be like really evil spirits or bad entities that are looming over these projects, causing bad luck and bad things to happen? All I'm saying is that some of this stuff is a little too coincidental to be a coincidence to me. And that is all the time I got today for the Spooky Corner. Make sure that if you liked the video, you actually give it a like. Make sure to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you haven't already. And of course, come back next time for some more spooky stuff.